say more about what was it that made her think. So I wanted to begin with a two-part question. I know that one of the layers of this many-layered piece is the origin story, the Anishinaabe origin story. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that story and also kind of what compelled you to bring it to the stage now, at this moment.
My name is Sandra Laronde. My name is Red Sky Eagle Woman. I'm from the Temagami First Nations, which is northeastern Ontario. The origin, when you look at trace and all things that are traceable, and when you go right back and follow traces, it brings you back usually to a source, to an origin. And it made me think of all different kinds of traces, like, our DNA strands, our a fossil, all the different parts that we leave behind us in terms of our human legacy. A footprint, a thumbprint, tracing a call, an investigative search, all different kinds of trace. And it made me think about origin, and what is our origin as Anishinaabe people, as Indigenous people, and more specifically as Anishinaabe people. And we go right back to the star world in terms of our origin story, that we were formed in the core of a star billions of years ago. And so from there we come from, and there we return. And when you look at the composition of a star scientifically, in terms of its alchemy, there are similarities between the human being, the alchemy of a human being, and the alchemy of a star. There are similarities when you look at the periodic chart, for example. And I find that really, really fascinating. And as Anishinaabe, we call ourselves the star people. We are the star people.
So, yes, second part of the question, what compelled you to bring it to the stage right now, in this moment?
It's our time now as Indigenous people. It is our time. And it's now, and it's a very, very exciting time to be a creator, to be looking at the themes and the stories and sharing that with the public. I mean, as you read with that letter in 1921, that was all about suppress the dancing of Indigenous people. Suppress it, do not let it happen, ever. And so to have that letter up, I so wanted that letter up, and I so wanted it to crumble before our eyes and turn into something else. And but the thing about that letter was, it's stating how powerful dance is. It's so powerful that a letter was written and went all across the government of Canada to talk about why they should suppress Indigenous dancing. So it's time. It's time now, and I can feel that. And we're 19 years old now as Red Sky Performance. And even in 19 years, there's been a pretty remarkable trajectory in terms of audiences being ready and wanting to hear our stories.
The question had to do with the singer. And so the question was kind of what is the practice of throat singing as performed in the piece?
So what you heard actually is a recorded person. He's 23 years of age, Nelson Taguna. He's from Baffin Island, so you're correct in terms of the far north. And he does a hybrid form. He's an Inuit throat singer, but he's a beatboxer. And he combines it, and he's a throat boxer. So all that's him recorded, and then Aura has added some of the throat singing live on top of that. It's just so evocative, and it's so beautiful and compelling. And so we've included a lot of it in our work and recorded Nelson and Aura, but it's extraordinary. I mean, but it is from the far north originally. Yes.
So the question was, how did the piece evolve in terms of did the dance precede the music, or the music precede the dance, or did they evolve together?
It actually happened differently all at the same time. So we were given a few tracks that were developed earlier, and then a few of them were developed later with the physical movement that we were trying to get and show. So it was a bit of both, actually, and some of them happened at the exact same time. A lot of the time we actually have the musicians in the studio with us. So there's a lot of back and forth between the musicians and the dancers, and trying to sort of sometimes create as we go, which is really great, obviously, for transitional things and getting used to each other. I think that's the one thing about live music, is it's not so much getting consistent, but it's almost being prepared for minor changes here and there, and being flexible within the music, because there are a lot of things that sort of ebb and flow differently when it's live performance, even night to night.
The question was about his training, his background in dance, and also his how did he become a choreographer? Yes.
Thank you for the question. I didn't really know about my heritage until I was around 12 or 13. I knew I had a Chinese grandfather, and he didn't talk much about his Métis heritage. So my great-grandmother actually hid it, and she, so she didn't acknowledge her heritage, unfortunately, and I'm really proud to be able to acknowledge it now. And it was something that was very important to my grandfather. When I found out, I ended up doing a little bit of research about it, and found out that there are programs in dance for Indigenous Canadians and Indigenous people all over. I ended up getting into a program called the Indigenous Dance Residency at the Banff Centre, and that is where I met Sandra Laronde. I went there for 5 summers in a row, and the first 2 I was a dancer in the program, and by the 3rd summer, Sandra had asked me to create. So she asked me to create a 5-minute piece of choreography, and that was my first sort of bite at choreography, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm so grateful that I was able to be mentored in a way where every summer I returned, I was asked to do a little bit more, and it was in a very organic and natural way. So I'm very happy for those baby steps, because it truly helped build me up as a choreographer, and I feel fairly comfortable now when it comes to what I do and what I like to do. And then as far as dancing and stamina goes, it's really the dancers I surround myself around who inspire me the most, and it's the team that I'm on stage with who's helping me for sure, and they inspire me, and I have no problem just continuing on with dancers like that.